So, on this video, we're going to go over the MasterMaterial, and we're going to use this one because this is the scene test that we made that have basically topology, and it's just a cube, nothing else. Yeah, so let's go over it. So first thing comes first. Again, make sure your maps are all in this format, where you have ARM, that stands for ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic, the base color, height, if you want to use any of the experimental parts of parallax or tessellation, and the normal map. I have like two different textures in here. I don't have more currently, but this is what we got for now. And then I will show you how to do the vertex painting with some of the tools. So first, what you want to do is go here and do a material instance. In this case, we'll name it seamless sand 2 because I already have one in there, and do mi for material instance.
You open it, and in here you'll put master, and you'll find this one. That's the master material. And once you open, I will close these ones for now. We don't need them. I will explain them later. But for now, the ones that we want is base color, arm, and normal. Now we're going to grab our textures, and I'll pick this sand first. And all I need to do is to drag them in, normal, and there you go. Quick thing, make sure your material in here, the ARM material, the sRGB needs to be off. If it is it because of the off? No, what the hell? Oh, it's broke. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't work. Anyways, we got our sand in here. Very good looking sand. And if we apply this in here, we'll get our sand. Now for some settings. If we scroll up, we get the basic settings of the align and scales. So what this do, one moves it that way, one moves it that way, and the other one is just a normal scale that will tile the texture. Keep in mind, this is a universal UV scaling and align. This is meaning that if I add another texture, for example, because if I can add another texture in here, see the second group will show up, and if I add here, for example, the other texture, they will use the same UVs as the other one. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, currently this is a basic material. There is nothing else. No tessellation, no parallax, nothing. Yes, you can add emissive maps if you want. There is the settings in here. Currently they are disabled. Opacity settings. In order to opacity settings to work, you need to go here on general and scroll down and change the blending modes. In this case, opaque to translucent, and here for the other settings. And you might want to also check the two-sided, but that is for the opacity. Now, tessellation. Once you activate that, you will get like this pile of settings. And if I now go to our wireframe, it's still the same. But if you increase the intensity, you start to see that it starts duplicating. it can go up to a maximum of 10. That's good enough. As you can see, the tessellation is working with the camera, so it doesn't go way too far. But this can also be increased. So in here we have the fade. If we increase the fade, that will increase the distance of the tessellation, how far the tessellation will work. We might want to keep this one down a little bit, not as this close, because this will break the immersion of you will see the tessellation showing up. So 1000 it's a good point. Or we can just reduce here and it will get a little bit better. We can also change here the test near. What this will do, it's sort of a multiplier, so the maximum that it's gonna will affect the fade a little bit more, so it doesn't be so obvious. The same goes for the offset and other settings. The power is related with the texture. Alright, so here it's where you input the height map. So if you go back in here and select our height map, you'll see nothing happens because the displacement, it's not doing anything correctly. So we need to increase it, and as you can see, if we increase it too much, although we'll gain a lot more topology to work with, yeah, it's not a good idea to do this, because as you can see, it breaks the geometry and Unreal doesn't know if he shows it or not. So just go easy on that setting. Let's just reduce this to something useful. Like 20. As you can see, it still gives the bumps that we're wanting, but it isn't it isn't at the breaking point. If I put this way, you will see there is some bumps on here and there, especially with a higher wireframe. It's easier to see the mesh growing and reducing, especially when the tessellation is taking place. Again, you don't want to be too high, so that doesn't happen. See, that is a very bad thing. So make sure when you're working with this, you make sure that doesn't happen, because that's way too obvious, and once you get close, it's broke. So usually 10, it's good enough. It brings it out a little bit. Also, this height map, it's not one of the best, but it will do for now. A quick thing, where is it? There is parallax. So you cannot have tessellation and parallax. If you have both of them on, it will give you errors. So just disable one of them and it will be just fine. And once you disable, you will get, again, once you enable this one, you will end up getting another set of settings and a new height map. You need to plug again the height map because reasons. You won't be very noticeable, the parallax on the sand, but basically you want to keep this one very low or it will break. You can see like it's not that high, but also tessellation, it's with this map it's hard to see, but this will affect basically how far it is from the floor, and that's basically the only one that you need to know. If you want to change the way he behaves with the rest, usually this one does it, but it's not big of a deal. It's just that all the rest of the optimization, all the rest is optimizations, it doesn't do anything for it. So let's disable parallax. This is in order to have world align materials. It works the same way because he needs to have his own separate material input. This doesn't work with parallax or anything like that. This one, it's only for this purpose. So if I plug this thing in here and this thing in here, you'll see it might look like a normal one, but if I duplicate this space, as you can see, it's world aligned in all the axes. Even if I do this, the sand is still aligned with the world. See there? All aligned. It's basically, you will take the UVs from the world and align them. See there where both them touch? Okay. That's basically all the world alignment node does. Can disable that. Okay. This individual position and scale, that's the same that I show you up here, but this one will work for only this set of materials. We'll get to the other sets later, but basically it's just the same settings: side, sides, and scale here. That's just for when you're blending and you might want the texture to have a different scale of the other one. Sometimes it's useful. This is for micro normals. This will give you an extra layer of detail. Micro normals, all you need to do to activate it is come in here and activate micro normals, and in this case I want normal noise. Yeah, there you go, normal grunge noise. All this is literally grunge in a noise map. And if I come in here and I get close enough to it, it should show up. There it is. See there? This is the scale. So like, see there, that's what it's doing. It's basically a level of detail, an extra level of detail that you only see when you are very close to it. So as you can see, it's fairly noticeable when you are at that range. But if we are, for example, set this at 5, that is the range that is meant to be seen there, you only start seeing it when you get really close, as you can see there. Okay, let's disable this. This is the same settings as the tessellation, it's just a fade to tell how close that material will show up, the micro normals. Some adjustment, it doesn't do anything besides that. So now let's go over, I don't need this one. This is for blending. So first things, we need a second material. To activate the second material, all you need to do is here, start setup, and if you want the second material, all you need to do is check both those two boxes, and it will give you an extra material. If you want 3, you check this one, and you get 3 materials. As you can see, the settings, they start appearing. Although you want to be careful with this, because the more materials you add, there is up to maximum 5, but the more you add, the more heavy the shader becomes. In this case, if I can find it, yeah, here, shader complexity. Now it's currently not big of a deal, but the more you add, the more components you add to each one of them, since every single one of them have tessellation, every single one of them have other stuff. You want to keep that simple. As you can see, the complexity goes down by a lot when you start reducing stuff. Okay. Okay, so 2 materials. So we already have the first one. It's everything is there and on this place. Now let's add the second one. Base. It works the same way. Base color. Oops, wrong place. Base color, arm. This is height and normal. For now, you won't see anything because there is nothing. So all you need to do is change here where it says paint tabs and then go to weight paints. You want to set this to RGB, RGB, so that means you have access to the 5 ones. And in here we have two: paint texture, erase texture. I will exchange this because I want to paint with the new texture that I just input, and as you can see it starts painting them one onto the other. Although to achieve better results you might want to reduce this. Sometimes it doesn't work just as it should. By the way, if you press shift you can delete. That will be the erase texture that will be painting on top of it. There you go. See, now it's kind of fading in instead of just appearing there. But although this is not the result that we were looking for, we don't want this just fade. Let's say we have, that's where the blending noise comes in. If you activate all these ones, then add a key here, a crunch map. I'll add this one, and I'll increase the contrast a little bit. You can see what it's doing. There you go. And I also will increase, this one will increase just the scale of it. I found it to work very good when you have like a quarter of the scale and a little bit of the contrast. And then you also have the power. This is further options that you can explore basically. As you can see, the more I add, the more blurry it becomes, but if I do it backwards it will create this sort of weird blending where it doesn't blend anything, everything, but it creates a nice blending. But again, you might want to create something like this and keep the noise scale up, not as that, so that doesn't happen. See there, that's not a good sign. You want to keep this good but not very small, very big, so it still comes across the result that we were looking for. So as you can see, now the blending noise is working with the other one in order to create a good blend. The material, this material have the exact same settings as the first one, except for the world alignment. We can add just the same tessellation in here. Again, just input the map, tessellation displacement, let's set this to 10, and the intensity in here, let's set this for example to, I don't know, the 5 that we had, and 0.5. Let's check if the tessellation is working in here. Here, there we go. So as you can see, there is this selection that gets tessellated. That is the zone that is weight painted. So meaning that this won't tessellate if the material doesn't tell it to tessellate. So that is a good improvement, I guess. And as you can see there, the tessellation is taking effect, and on these rocks in here, it's becoming a little bit bumpy. Again, we can still paint this thing whole, and you can see it rising and going down. If I go there, you start seeing it going down slowly. There you go. And if I paint it, because of these things, I will increase the scale of this one so I can see. There you go. So now it's a little bit smaller, and you can see that there is that little bump over there. That is just like that. Okay, and that works the exact same way. Every setting, everything else works the exact same way. So another thing that I included for example, ceramic, that when we place a light behind it, we can achieve the result of lighting passes through. So if we add this setting in here, yeah, we'll make it red. It's easier to see. Currently, you won't see anything, but if I place a light in here strong enough, oh yeah, this thing to work, you will need to go again in here on the general settings, and you need to override the property of the shader model to subsurface. This will take some time to compile again, but in order to use that subsurface, you will need this setting. And basically what this does, as you can see, if there is a light under it, it will kind of shine through. So, and this is the color of the light that will shine through. So if I put like, I don't know, a brown, and I need to turn off my directional light to work, because sometimes this thing doesn't like to work properly. See there? There you go. That's what I was getting for. There is this light that comes through it when you have light under it. Although you need to be careful, because as you can see, that leaves a little bit of a tint on the material, no matter if there is light or not. So again, this works very good for candles and stuff like that, to get like that glowing under the light of the candle. But there you go. And to bring it back, it's just default lighting. Again, just be careful with the way you use some of this stuff. And that's it. If there is any suggestions or anything, just let me know. By the way, this is just a debugging tool that I included for the vertex painting, so you know which color you're painting. So it will be easier to know which color are you actually painting. So if I come in here and start painting, it just paints the actual color on it, so you know which one it is. 4, that becomes blue, and 5, that becomes the black and white. And once you disable, it will just give you the results. Okay, that's all.